Put your hands together for old men in sweat. Old men in sweat. Put your hands together, y'all. Barry D, Tommy T. We gonna have a good time tonight. Let's go, let's go. It's old men in sweat.
Hello, everybody.
Hola, everybody. Hola. Yo, we are Old Men in Sweats. I'm Barry D, and this is my buddy Tommy T, and this is our program brought to you by Believe Network. Hashtag we believe, hashtag do you believe, and hashtag you should believe in the Old Men in Sweats. Right, Tommy T? I mean,
Absolutely, buddy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're the Old Men in Sweats. We used to be the Sport Jerks in the 90s. And, we graduated. And here we are. We're back.
So we graduated from two jerks to two old guys in sweats. Yeah, it's crazy. So, Tommy, I want to get right to the sweaty hit list because we got the big NFL divisional matchups coming up. But the other day, I called you and we were going to do the show that day, and then I found out, that you had to undergo some kind of procedure. So right now, I want to first things first. I want to do a senior health check, and this senior health check is brought to you by Dr. Scholl's Cracked Heel Cream.
Okay.
So this Dr. Scholl's makes a severe cracked heel balm.
You use that on your heel?
Yeah, and it does wonders. Your heels are so soft.
I get like a tea tree oil, a tea tree lotion. I use that on I don't use the.
Yeah, no. So even though Dr. Scholl's really doesn't, a disclaimer, they don't sponsor this segment. We would love to work with Dr. Scholl's and the senior health check. They could severe cracked heel balm, softens and hydrates dry cracked heels. And when you get older, dry cracked heels are no joke. There's no joke. So we maybe Dr. Scholl's will give us a call. Go ahead and reach out to us at Old Men in Sweats. We appreciate it. So Tommy, so I call you and then you text me like I had to go for a procedure. So what happened?
Yeah, I had a hernia. It was just like a minor thing, but I thought I had like a adductor. You know what an adductor muscle is? Like up in the groin. It's not.
That's what you told me last week. That's what we went over.
Yeah, it's not an abductor. There's not a B in that word. It's ADDUCTOR, adductor. Like it's weird. So I had to strain muscle, and and it was killing me for a couple of weeks. But I still kept doing the workouts, whatever. I still kept doing a yoga class and the boot camps, and it was kind of sore. But then the thing just moved, like it moved like across like the whole. Like across like the whole bottom of my stomach, and all of a sudden, like I wake up in the morning, it felt like someone kicked me in the groin. So I went to the doctor and she checked it, and then I had the ultrasound, and then they found like a tear, and there was like the intestine. I guess it's dangerous with a hernia if the intestine starts coming through, like it bubbles through.
Oh my God.
They had to do this procedure, and the procedure is like some kind of roto-rooter tool or something. It's like a gardening tool that they go down there with, and they have to sew it up. So so I've been barely able to stand up the last couple days, but it's all good now. I'm gonna be back. I'll be back in the in the workout soon. Everything we're good to go.
So you thought it was an adductor?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought
which is the groin, that groin muscle.
Yeah, way up high, and I've had that problem for years, like all the sports we played. I've always had, like the strained muscle in there,
really? But
it just kept getting worse and worse. And then all of a sudden, when it moved across like the whole bottom of my stomach, I said, that's not some. I had to call a doctor, and I start going to see people, and that's not normal.
Was it very painful? Was it painful?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't stand up in the morning. It took me like an hour just to get up and get going.
Well, it's good that you went and had someone check it out. Then they found out really what it was.
Yes, they said, you go through the process. You see the doctor, she checks it out, then you go to get the ultrasound and then the results, and it's a whole thing, and then pretty soon, you're in there and they pull out this gardening tool and they fix it.
So have you been laying low like last night and today? You're resting?
Yeah, I'm resting. Yeah, but
you haven't been out to.
No, but I'm going back to yoga like Sunday. I'm going to be back in class. Right,
but you been in town going into the casinos or not?
No, not the last couple of days. Yeah,
you got to take it easy.
You got to take it easy.
Well, that's what. So that's so because last week you told me what it was. I looked that up. I did research on that thing. I go, okay, that happens, right? But it wasn't that. Like, was this more serious in a way? It could be.
Well, only because the intestine was involved. Like that's what they're afraid of. I mean, sometimes it's just like like just a small tear in the stomach, in the bottom of your stomach lining. It's not a big deal. But once something starts moving around, I guess they're like, oh no, we gotta fix this.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll move on from there. But I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah,
it seems like you're okay. So
every week it's something. There's never a week goes by that it's not something
like you said. When you're older, there's another week that goes by with what you have going on, and then your family. We all have the even elderly family that then there's another thing with them. So let's move right now in to the bookie beatdown segment. Basically, we're going to do we're going to analyze the games. We're going to talk about what happened last week, and then at the end, we're going to make our picks. So first things first, let's get right into the first game that will be tomorrow at 4:30, I believe it is, on CBS maybe, and that's the Jacksonville Jags. And Trevor Lawrence going into Kansas City to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So let's talk about that. Let's talk a little.
This game's got the least interest this weekend. Let's just skip that game. Kansas City is going to beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville, that was a lousy game last week. The Chargers are up 27-0. They lose. I'm so tired of the Chargers. I don't even want them to make the playoffs anymore. It's always the same thing. It doesn't matter if Marty Schottenheimer's the coach or if this new guy, Brandon Staley's the coach. It doesn't make any difference. 1 year they're 14-2 and they lose in the playoffs. They got Phillip Rivers. They got all these loser quarterbacks, loser coaches, and that Kansas City's going to beat Jacksonville. Let's skip that game. Let's go into the game.
You're right, but you don't want to talk at all about the Jets.
Let's go into the game of the week.
My
gosh. And the Giants. The Vikings and Giants was the best game last week. The Giants go into Minnesota. They beat the Vikings, and they just played a great game. The Vikings started hot. They got Justin Jefferson in the game. The beginning of the game, he caught like 5 passes in the first quarter, I think. It looked like the Vikings were going to dominate with Justin Jefferson because he is the best receiver in football, right? So the whole game plan is to get Jefferson involved early and often. All of a sudden, it went away. I don't know. They doubled him. They bracketed him the rest of the game. I think he had a couple more catches the rest of the game. And the Giants dominated on offense. And the Vikings have a terrible defense. Everyone knows that. They fired their coach yesterday.
Yeah.
Fired him immediately, right? They fired the defensive coordinator. But, of course, the game ends on, the Vikings got the ball. They're driving for were they driving for the winning touchdown? Or what did they lose by? I forget the score.
Time. They were going for the tying touchdown. If they went for 2 points, I don't think they would do that at home.
Okay, so they lost by 7. They lost by 7. Yeah. So they're driving for the tying touchdown. They get to this spot where it's 4th and 8. And, of course, Kirk Cousins throws a 4-yard pass to the tight end who's covered. It's like, that typifies, that right there, that symbolizes Kirk Cousins' entire career. It's 4th and 8. You're in the playoffs. You're around midfield or whatever. They're on the 30 or 40-yard line, wherever they want. You throw a 4-yard pass to your tight end. And not only was it to the tight end, but the tight end, like his back was to the defender. It wasn't like he was running. It wasn't like he led him like a tackle. There was no way he was going the other 5 yards.
Okay, let me say something. Because everybody that doesn't know, I'm a Viking fan. So first things first, their great tackle, Darisaw, was off. He went illegal procedure. So it was 4th and 3. It became 4th and 8. He had a penalty. Yeah. But I agree with you. That play was the worst. But Cousins did say this. He goes, look, I couldn't get it downfield to Jefferson. I didn't have the time. When I threw that, I knew it was short. He goes, but I was going to get sacked. He goes, I knew it was short. I had to put the ball in play. He goes, I had to put the ball in play.
But this is why you don't keep Kirk Cousins, because the guy was rushing him in the middle, but Kirk Cousins can't move.
Exactly.
Like he's not mobile enough. And this goes back to what we always talk about, and I've been saying this for years to you. There aren't 15 good quarterbacks in the world. let alone in the NFL, there's not enough quarterbacks to go around. So what happens is teams like the Vikings, who have great players, they get Kirk Cousins, and he's not bad, and he puts up these numbers, right? But he's not good enough. Like, he's not good enough. And the Vikings, they pay him. Now he's coming up. He's on a second contract with the Vikings, right?
Yep.
So now the word is this year, are they going to extend him, or are they going to come back next year with him on the left?
The problem is this, they already extended him once because they needed cap room. And this is the thing. They're going to have to extend him to 2 possibly because of JJ. But the other thought is they may not extend him, so then they can get rid of him after this year, try to get a quarterback.
But the problem these teams make is they get one of these quarterbacks that aren't bad, but they're not one of the top 12 or 15. They're not a real quarterback. You're not going to win with him. And just because the problem that we have is you see teams in the past, in the last 20 or 30 years, they win with Trent Dilfer. They win with Brad Johnson. They win with these bums. So teams think, oh, we don't need a great quarterback. If we have a great team, we can still win. No, you got to have a really good quarterback. You're not going to win with Kirk Cousins. And the problem is teams like the Vikings and even maybe the COWBOYS, they hang on to Dak Prescott. Some of these teams, they hang on to a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill has been starting for years, right? Matt Ryan still starting. They hang on to these quarterbacks, and they're not one of the top 10 or 15. You got to go out and find the quarterback.
And this is the thing I think too. So they're talking about not extending him this time and trying to get a quarterback, and then they still got to get JJ's contract done. But they're going to probably get rid of Harrison Smith and Cook and Desarius Smith. Like, they're going to get rid of some guys to try to free up some cap room.
Because I call him Desarius. I love
that.
Yeah.
What's his name, that guy?
It's Zadarius. That's great.
But it should be what I said. These names are too confusing.
What did you say? Desarius.
Desarius. I like that name. It should be that. Like, I can't believe I'm not right. Like, I said, like, such a crazy name, and I get it wrong because he wants it to be Zadarius. You know what? I like that guy, though. I like him. You know, and this is the problem. This is the thing. The Giant game, I'm going to say this. You're right about Cousins. And I always say this. You need a mobile quarterback. Because in that situation, guess what? If I had Lamar Jackson or even if I had Danny a roll of pennies, he could have got out of the pocket and he could have maybe went the 8 yards, or he could have got some guys to come to him and then dump it. Cousins cannot get out of that pocket. He's a statue. No, he's like Eli Manning. He's like Eli Manning. He's a statue in the pocket.
He's not good enough. And the other thing is, like, you called him Danny Roll of Pennies, and we got to let everyone know what you're referring to. His nickname is Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
And they gave him that nickname early. He didn't earn that nickname, Danny Dimes. There was nothing diming about his play. No. So you renamed him Danny Roll of Pennies. I get, right? I get it. But right now, though, you got to move him up to Danny Nichols.
Yeah, Roland Nichols. How about Roland Nichols?
Danny Roland Nichols.
Roland Nichols.
But he's playing good. Listen, he's good. He's playing really well.
Take
it away from him.
I'm not going to take the game away from the Giants. They played really well. They played the game like 3 weeks before against the Vikings really well. I was nervous, even though the Vikings were home, that we had to play the Giants again. They got good coaches. I'm like, whatever they didn't do right, they're going to do right. And the Vikings will make mistakes, and their defensive coach won't change anything. I mean, Daniel Hunter goes back in pass coverage. I'm like, he's crazy. This guy's crazy because he wants to play that 3-4. I don't think the Vikings are going to – they're going to get a new defensive coach. They're not going to play 3-4 again. They're going to play a 4-3. And Daniel Hunter is going to be in a stance with Zadarius Smith on the other end, and they're going to rush.
Why do you get your best pass rushing edge rusher 6'5", 260? Why do you back him up in the coverage? Stop trying to trick people. He's your best guy. Get him on the corner. I hate when they do that.
Tom, he had 10.5 sacks this year doing that.
Yeah,
it's crazy. He could have had 20 sacks if they just put him down in a 3-point stance and let him go. Because Zadarius Smith was good on the other end. Sometimes I like how they bring the guy to the middle. They do that little stunt.
Yeah.
Okay. But the problem with the Vikings was always the defensive coordinator. I don't think it was really the talent on defense. I think it was his scheme. He would never give in and change it. Anytime he did a couple pressure plays, any kind of blitzes or anything a little different, it worked. So I was really nervous about playing the Giants again. I probably now, as I saw what happened, I would have rather go on the road and play Tampa Bay, because playing the Giants was no way I was gonna win that game.
That team had no chance. The Vikings had no chance. That was the worst 13-win team since the Steelers. And was it the Steelers in 2020 when the Steelers won the first 11 games of the year? The Steelers were 11-0. I think in 2020 they were 11-0, and then they in their playoff game they gave up 48 points to the Browns. The Steelers stunk that year. That was the worst 11-0 team ever. This Vikings team was the worst 13-win team I've ever seen.
Well, remember that team. Remember that team that went into New York and got beat 41-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah, but how many wins did that team? They didn't have 13 wins.
No, they had 13, but they had Randy Moss.
Yeah, but this is, I'm talking a 13-win team.
Yeah, I get you.
They had Cousins. They had a bad defense. They had a negative. I think they were -2 in point differential for the year. So that Vikings team was no good. Their quarterback is no good. You're not going to win with Kirk Cousins.
No. I want a mobile.
Kirk Cousins isn't going to go into San Francisco or Philly and win. No
I
way.
want a mobile quarterback, and when I mean mobile quarterback, I don't mean it's got to be like Lamar Jackson. Even that little Purdy guy runs around. Like, I just need a guy that can get out of there and get out of trouble and not be the statue in the pocket. So look, I'm ringing a bell because I want to go back now. I want to go back to the Eagle Giant game because I wanted to recap that Viking Giant game.
Yeah.
Now, what do you see in this Eagle Giant game tomorrow night, 8:15, and that's on Fox, I believe.
The Eagles are different. They scored 48 points against the Giants in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They blew them out in the second game too. I don't know if they scored 28 points the second game. I think the Eagles have scored almost they scored almost 80 points against the Giants in 2 games this year. And the Giants didn't play their regulars in the second game, right? They benched, they rested everybody. It was the last game of the year, week 18.
That's true.
But the Eagles are different. The Giants are going to have more problems with the Eagles. The Eagles are better defensively. The Eagles are going to get after Daniel Jones. So he's going to have to play a great game. He's going to have to play another great game. And then and the Giants defensively, you know, they got that great defensive line, but they don't have anything else. One thing about the Giants that's interesting is they're playing with so many scrubs and practice squad players. Their coaches are doing a great job. They have 2 linebackers that played against the Vikings, Gerard Davis and Jalen Smith. They're both like the Vikings the Giants don't even want those guys. Like they were just waiver guys they picked up. They don't want Jalen Smith and Gerard Davis. They don't have anybody. Their defensive backfield, some of the guys they don't even want. They're out there playing. So the Giants are really doing a great job. Their wing is great. They have great players. They got Jones. They got Saquon. They got a good offensive line this year. They got a great defensive line. Their 2 defensive tackles are the best in football. Lawrence and Leonard Williams, they're as good as any tandem defensive tackles.
Well, they were in the backfield of the Vikings every play.
Lawrence is the one that messed up the last play of the game.
Yeah.
These guys, and the other thing is, when the Cowboys, Micah Parsons gets doubled and triple teamed every play, right? The Giants edge rushers, you can't double team Thibodeau because you got to double team the 2 defensive tackles.
Those guys are big in the middle.
Their edge rushers are really working on one-on-one. So Thibodeau should get opportunities for more sacks.
Yeah, the Giants got a lot of meat in that middle. Is a lot of meat. It's just like big the tomahawk steaks in the middle there. Now that's what they are. They're not like a little fillet. Those 2 guys in the middle, like tomahawk steaks.
I don't even know what a tomahawk steak is.
It's a big bone. It's a bone. It's a gigantic bone and a big meat on the end. And that's what those guys are. Those 2 giant guys. They're not like a little strip steak, like a little New York strip steak.
Okay, you're right.
I want to say something. So you asked, you were talking about how many points the Eagles scored 70 points in those 2 games, 48 and then 22 against the Giants in those 2 games. Yeah. So I think the Giants have momentum. I think they've got a weird team. It's a bunch of no names and they just play well. And I think it was good they played last week against the Vikings. I don't know. Like everybody says having a bye is good. But I'm wondering about Philly. Like, again, it's a divisional matchup. They beat them twice. Can you beat the team 3 times? Can you beat them 3 times?
They should beat them 3 times, but you're right. But Philly needed the extra week off, though. Philly's getting Lane Johnson back. It's funny. Lane Johnson has a torn adductor muscle. I was just talking about the adductor muscle, right? He has a torn adductor muscle. He's playing. He's not getting the surgery. You know, I needed the surgery to do this show. He's not getting the surgery to play football. He's crazy. Lane Johnson's crazy.
You needed the surgery to read the newspaper.
This guy's not getting the surgery. He's playing, right? And so the Eagles are also getting back. Jalen Hurts has a bad shoulder, right? Yeah. I guarantee you, after the year, whether the Eagles go to the Super Bowl or whatever happens, I guarantee you after the year, Jalen Hurts is going to have some kind of surgery on his shoulder. Like he hurt his shoulder. So there's going to be some procedure that they're going to do for his shoulder because he hurt it against, it wasn't the Giants game. It was before the Giants game. Oh, it was the Bears. They were beating the Bears pretty bad, and he ran through the line and he got tackled, and the lineman put all of his weight on him. Yep. You can't do that when you sack the quarterback. They got that rule now.
Was there a penalty on that?
No,
do you remember?
No. Nope. I'm saying you can't put all your weight on him when you sack the quarterback. But when the quarterback runs, if you tackle him, you could put all your weight on him, and he put like all 350 pounds on him, and he crushed his shoulder. You could see it. Like he crushed his shoulder, and Jalen Hurts got up and he was just like, oh my God. And he finished the game. But after the game, the shoulder, whatever injury he had, swelled up, couldn't move his arm, sat out for a couple weeks. He played against the Giants, but he wasn't nearly as effective. So Jalen Hurts might be hurt a little bit. The guy playing with the torn adductor muscle, he needs surgery. Lane Johnson's coming back. The Eagles are getting guys back, so they needed that week off.
Does Danny Roland Nichols have a shoulder thing too?
No,
I thought I heard that on one of those shows.
No, he's good.
Speak for Yourself, or This Is Just In, or My Mama, Eats Spaghetti. At one of those shows, I thought I heard that. Okay, no, so good. I don't know how that guy's going to play with that groin thing. How's he going to cut? How's he going to play, that guy?
Well, he's going to – I mean, they're going to give him some kind of shot. Like they got the painkiller shot. I mean, they're going to try to kill the pain. But it's like an injury like that. First of all, where's the needle go in? Like a shot. Like you're going to give me a shot near my groin? Where's the
right near your sack.
No.
They get right close to your sack.
The other thing
they push the sack over. They get right in there.
I'm sure that – get out of here.
They push the sack over. I think they go up high.
No, that's not. The other thing is, does a shot work? Like in that kind of, I don't know. Listen. So
I rub some Ben Gay on it and just go out there. Just rub a little Ben Gay on there. Go out there. But then you got to watch. You don't get the Ben Gay close to the area.
Well, I'm sure that's happened before.
Well, remember when we were kids, we used to put Ben Gay or what was it, that Tiger Bomb in guys' jock straps. Remember, they didn't know what was in there. Then they'd put the jock strap on and they'd go, ah! We would do that as kids. Remember? All right, so let me say this: the Eagles, they are way better. You're accepting the Eagles are a way better team than the Giants.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, so let me ask you. We'll pick it. Let's pick it right now. Okay, and then we'll recap the picks at the end of the segment. So Bookie Beatdown picks. So in this game, you got the Eagles are 7.5. I think. Let me see this here. The Eagles Giants is 7.5 minus for the Eagles and 48 over under.
Yeah, this game's going under. This is going to be 23-13 Eagles, something like that.
Wow.
23-13 Eagles or 20-13 Eagles. But this is going to be under, and the game's going to land right on the point spread. The Eagles are favored by 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah, this game is going to land right on that number. So it's going to be anywhere from 6 to 8. Like it's going to be right around that number. 20-7, 20-13, 23-13, something like that, where this, like if you bet this game, regardless of what team you bet, the last 2 minutes of the game are going to matter. Because, a lot of times, like the Eagles are up by 14 or whatever, and the Giants are driving for that last second garbage touchdown. The game's over, but they're just driving down the field. This is going to be one of those games. That's why I hate betting these games, because the game's over. You won. Like the Eagles won the game's over, but the Giants got the ball and they're doing that last second thing where they're driving down the field. The Eagles aren't even trying to stop them, and the Giants could get that last second touchdown to put them to make them cover.
So you won't take the points either way. No, plus 7.5 for Mike.
I take under. What's the over under again? That's high.
48.
Yeah, because they're thinking that the Eagles are going to, because the Eagles scored 48 the first game, they're thinking the Eagles are going to score. That's a high. I like the under in that game. I'm comfortable with this game landing in the low 40s or high 30s. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously the money line, for the big bettors, the Eagles are minus 365.
What the heck are you eating?
Chicken wings.
It's nuts. You're eating chicken wings.
I got some chicken wings here. They're left over.
Chicken wings is terrible.
Leftover chicken wings.
What the hell?
I gotta eat them. They're left over. I have to eat them. They're extra crispy.
We're on here for like a half hour.
Extra crispy, medium. Okay, so let me say something. If I had a lot of cash, or these guys that have a lot of cash, like Mattress Mike, he'd bet the Eagles money line. I would not take the Eagles minus the points. I wouldn't take the Giants plus the points. If you got a lot of money, take the Eagles on the money line. Tommy likes the under, but you know what? I'm gonna go over. I'm going to take the over. That's my bet. If you got a lot of money, take the money line. Tommy's bet's under, so we're disagreeing on this one. So now let's move on to the next one. We're not going to talk about the Jags Chiefs, which is the earlier one than that. Let's talk Sunday. Let's go right into the Bills Cincy.
Okay, this is a really tough game because the first thing that jumps out at this game is Cincy's missing 3 starting offensive linemen, right? So that means they got 3 replacement linemen. No team has 8 linemen.
No
team has 8 good offensive linemen.
So what are they doing? How are they doing this?
Well, they're going to play this guy, Jackson Carman, who was a left tackle at Clemson. He was a tackle at Clemson for a short time. They drafted him a couple years ago. They're going to play him at left tackle because Jonah Williams, the guy they drafted in the first round a few years ago, he broke his kneecap. I think he broke his fractured kneecap or something. I don't even know what that is. He fractured his kneecap, so Jonah Williams isn't playing. So Jackson Carman is going to play left tackle. They already lost their right tackle, La'el Collins, the guy they got from the Cowboys, and they lost an interior guy. So they're playing with 3 backup linemen. I don't know any team in the NFL that's got 8 good offensive linemen. I mean, most teams are lucky to get 5 good offensive linemen, right? So now that's the biggest problem. And then the Eagles got the best pass rush in the NFL.
No, you mean the Bengals and Bills?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah. So the Bills got a good pass rush. The Bills they have a really good pass rush. They really put a lot of pressure on that Skylar Thompson last week, right? He was playing for Tua. So the Bills have to stop Burrow, and they have to stop Burrow from getting the ball downfield to Chase and T. Higgins and those guys. I think that's the biggest problem that the Bengals are going to have. How do they overcome that offensive line?
Yeah. You know why? Because you can't run on the Bills either.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know if the Bills' defense is that good.
But I know they're good against the run. They're good against the run. I mean, their rush yards allowed are 42 yards a game.
Yes, the Bills are favored by 5.5 points. I think if the Bengals were healthy in this game, I think that point spread would be down around 4 or 3.5.
Maybe 3.5 because Bills would get -3 because of home field.
Yeah. See, their guard is out. Alex Kappa, the Bengals guard who they got from Tampa Bay, he's out. Jonah Williams is out. So I don't know, man. So the Bengals, and it's in Buffalo. It's Buffalo should win this game. And, because of that, the injury, the over-under is 49 in this game. So that, it's going to be right around 50. I don't know about the over-under.
Well, because I don't think with the offensive line, they're going to have trouble since he's throwing it and running it. And like I said, the Bills' D against the run's good. If they don't establish the run, it's going to be a scary game for Cincinnati. Because they got to eat the clock. They got to keep Josh Allen off the field. But if they can't run against them, and, you got these three substitute offensive linemen in there for both running and passing is going to be tough. I don't know if that game's even going to go over.
I don't know either. I'm expecting a rematch, the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC Championship game. I'm expecting a rematch. I'm thinking, and then the other thing is if the Bills win, that rematch is going to have to be in that neutral field.
Atlanta.
Is it Dome, Atlanta? Right? Yeah. So
Mercedes-Benz.
Okay, so now of course that favors the Chiefs because otherwise, if the Bills could have had home field advantage, they're going to have to go into Buffalo. So if the Bills win, we're going to get the AFC Championship game in Atlanta next week, which got to favor the Chiefs, right?
All right. So in this game, do you think there's any chance that Cincy, if you want to talk point spread plus the 5.5, you could buy up a half a point to 6. Do you think there's any chance that Cincy could cover 6?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that game lands. I just think the Bills are going to win that game. I don't know. I don't see Cincy winning this game with those backup linemen. This guy Jackson Carman, who's replacing Jonah Williams, I don't know if he's good enough. I don't think he's going to be.
And where do the points come in this game to go over 48? Where do the points come?
Well, Cincinnati is going to have to max protect. So Cincinnati is going to have to keep a tight end in the chip, and help the left tackle, and they're going to also have to keep the running back in, which is Mixon or that Pirine. So they're going to have to max protect. So I think that Burrow's only going to have his 3 receivers most of the time in doing their out in the routes. I don't think they can. I don't think they can really flood the 5 receivers like you normally like to do.
So the Bills will get a lot of possessions then because they're not going to be able to eat the clock. Like I said, the Bills are good against the run. They're not going to be able to run. It's going to – maybe the game will go over then. Maybe the play here, because I don't see the play being the Bills minus 5.5 or minus 5 or Cincy plus 5.5 where you go to 6. That's why these games are always so tight. And the guys with big bags of money running around town with like all these big bags of money, that's why they play money lines. And I know anyone that's got any cash is going to play the money line on this game, and they're probably going to play the Bills. And that's probably the smart bet. So again, if I was running around with a bunch of bags of money, I would take the Bills on the money line, but my bet's going to be the over.
Okay. So you think the Bills are going to score 25, 30? You think the Bills are going to score 30 points then?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to get enough possessions because I think Cincy's not going to keep the ball enough because they're going to do max protect. They're going to be passing. There's going to be a lot of times their possessions are going to stall. So Buffalo's going to probably get even more possessions. So I think they're going to hit. I think they'll hit 31. Buffalo.
Okay, so but then Cincy's going to have to score 20.
Yeah,
3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because since he's in this game, the reason they're in this game is because that quarterback Tyler Huntley tried to reach the ball over the goal line, and you don't do that.
That's a good point. I forgot about that. I wanted to talk about that because the way Cincy got in this game is last week. We didn't talk about that. That game, it's like I can't believe that. And then did you hear what people said about the call? Al Michaels and who was he calling the game with?
Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, and they said they couldn't believe, like it was like they were dead when the guy was running that ball 99 yards back. They were like, there was like no excitement at all in it. And then I saw a show with these 2 girls, and they were talking on an unnamed network, and they were talking about Lamar Jackson not playing. And this girl goes, well, he didn't even show up to the game, and he doesn't want to be there anymore. And I'm like, he didn't show up because he didn't show up to the last 4 games. They're not going to have him at the game. It's in he didn't go. He didn't show up the last 4. He's doing rehab. The guy's got a sprained PCL.
But Barry, everyone that does these talk shows, these ridiculous things, everyone on TV, all the ESPN guys, they always read Lamar Jackson's tweets. They do this with everyone. They'll read someone's tweets or someone's Instagram, and they'll say, oh, did you see this Instagram? Lamar is going to leave Baltimore. He's really upset. It doesn't mean anything.
They thought he should have been at the game because it was in Baltimore. No, like he hasn't been to the last 4 games. He's not going to sit.
I know, but I'm saying, but do you see how they react to his tweets, to his IG posts? They overreact just because he posts something on IG saying, hey, if you really got something good, you got to make sure you take care of it. If you don't take care of it, you're going to lose it. It doesn't mean anything. It's just something he posted.
Yeah, and
not everybody means what they say on Instagram. He's just messing around.
It's not literal. It's not all
overreacts. Like he's not going anywhere. He's not mad at the Ravens. They always try to say he's upset with Harbaugh. Harbaugh's up. Shut up. Like no one knows nothing. Like they don't know anything. Stop.
No, it's like they were saying he gave up on the team. He doesn't want to play for this team anymore, and he should be playing. He can't play with that PCL. If they're going to keep him, even franchise him 1 year or sign him to the contract, they don't want to play in either. They don't want him in there. I was like, you're just trying to make something of nothing, like you said. A mountain. What my mom used to say, making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, it's true. But the thing is, they do this with everything. Everyone overreacts. Everyone takes all these little things and say, "Oh, this is what he meant." Aaron Rodgers goes on that podcast, the punter. What's the
McAfee, the Colts punter. Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers has a weekly appearance on McAfee's podcast, right? And Aaron Rodgers is always saying something that everyone's trying to interpret. Like, did you see what Rodgers is doing it again? He's being so mysterious. What is that?
No,
I'm getting an echo all of a sudden.
Right now?
Yeah. All of a sudden I'm getting an echo.
Everything's going. Yeah. I can hear you perfectly. It's perfect. Keep going.
All of a sudden, I don't know what happened.
I can hear you really good. Maybe take the.
Let me go in the audio again.
All right.
All right, you got me?
Yeah, you're perfect.
All right. Well, it stopped. Okay.
Feedback.
Yeah, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I was just getting an echo. But no, and Aaron Rodgers, every time he says something, everyone always talks about how mysterious he is. Who cares?
Mysterious.
I mean, we sit on everything these guys say. Like, who cares what they say? Who cares? Like, it doesn't even make any difference. Everyone's always trying to figure stuff out. Nobody knows anything. Remember, I've been telling you for years, there's no such thing as an inside scoop. No one has any inside information. And the reason I know this is because Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless or all these guys that are doing all these shows, they're just trying to figure out what Aaron Rodgers means or what Lamar Jackson means, because they don't have any inside information. Nobody's getting any inside stuff.
Yeah, no one has any sources.
There's no.
I make fun of the sources thing all the time. I go, I got a source too at the bodega, or I got a source at Denny's, or at the senior rec center.
The source that I have is the plumber comes over sometimes and he tells me, I worked at Derek Carr's house last week. Derek Carr's not going to play for the Raiders next year. It's so stupid. Nobody has a source. Nobody's getting any inside information. They know as much as you and I. We know nothing.
Yeah, and so to me, like after I heard about the Lamar Jackson thing, number one, it was a stupid play to bring the ball over the goal line. I would have ran it to Dobbins, that guy, Jason Dobbins, the good running back they got.
Yeah,
Baltimore. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins, right? And I would have just gave it to him. That was a bad call. But when that happened, and then when they were talking about everybody's trying to make a thing about Lamar, to me, I was like, of course he doesn't want to be out there in the cold. The guy's doing rehab. He hasn't been out there for 3 games. It's not that he's not part of the team. Not that he doesn't want to be part of the team. He can't play with that injury. You think he could play? Guess what? He plays with that injury. He could just tear it. He could tear his ACL. It's not as easy as everybody thinks. So that game, you're right. CINCY got really lucky, kind of, to be in this game.
They didn't play a great game against the Ravens. And also Burrow was sacked, I think, 4 times. I mean, Baltimore was all over him.
So let's move on. So I'm going to take the Buffalo Cincy game over the 48, just like I took Philadelphia game over, and we didn't take anything on KC. You didn't want to talk about that game because you think that game's a joke. I like the two.
Give your picks, but the heck with that game.
Yeah, I like the 2 coaches in that game, but it doesn't matter. That game, I'm not going to in that game, that's the only game I would take minus the points. If it's KC minus 7.5 or 8.5, I'd buy it down a point. I would lay the points on that game.
Yeah.
I don't know if the over is going to happen because there's going to be snow. That's the only game I would do that. So I would take KC minus the points, but remember, if it's a half, buy it down. I'm going to take the over in the Giant Philly game, and I would take the over in this Bills Cincy game. You like the under in the Philly game.
Yes, definitely like the under, yes.
And do you like anything in the Kansas City game at all?
Well, I think going back to the Jacksonville Chargers game, that I don't know how the Chargers have one fan. I don't know how they have one fan. Like anyone that's likes the Chargers over the last 30 years, you gotta be a moron. I don't know how they got one fan. I mean, first of all, they're in LA. Like, I don't even know who goes to the Chargers game, puts on a Chargers jersey and says, "Oh, I'm the Chargers. We got this great. We're in LA." Get out of here. They're winning 27-0. The quarterback for Jacksonville threw 4 interceptions in the first half, and you lose. And it was easy. Like, you not only lost, but Jacksonville won easy. Like, it wasn't even like Doug Peterson wasn't even worried. Like, they were 27-0, and Doug Peterson said, "Don't worry, it's the Chargers." Were they down 27-0 at halftime? Was it at halftime?
No, 27-7. 27-7.
Okay, they got a touchdown before halftime. Doug Peterson went into the locker room and said, "Listen, guys, don't worry, it's the Chargers. It's the Chargers. They were 14-2 with Marty Schottenheimer, and don't worry about it."
So let me ask you this. Did you think, because they fired the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator, that little Staley guy, the millennial Staley guy still has his job. Do you think, whose fault was it?
It doesn't matter. It's the owner. The owner's fault. It's the owner's fault. He keeps hiring these buffoon coaches who we told you that Staley can't coach. He's not a good coach. He stopped going for it on fourth down, but he can't coach. Like, you don't lose that game. There's no way you lose that game. I agree. At halftime, you tell your team, "We're losing 27-7, guys. We're not winning this game." You tell them. You tell your team that we're not. If you go out there like with a lead, 27-7, you're going to lose. We're losing this game. Go out there and play like we're losing this game. Like, go win the game. Win the second half.
And the thing is, too, you're right as the owner, because at the end of the day, you can blame the offense. They only got 3 points. Well, I can blame the defense that they gave up. That's what I mean. I just think it's funny how that Staley guy comes unscathed through all of this. But at the end of the day, I think the Chiefs, number one, they're better than the Jags. Number two, they're home. But number three, the Jags, that took a lot of energy to come back and win that game. They're not. It's over for them. So I'm. Like, again, I'll take the Chiefs minus the point.
The Jags got a great coach. I love Doug Peterson. He did a fantastic job.
Oh, great coach. Great.
He's a great coach. He won with the backup quarterback, won a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. And then when Carson Wentz got healthy, he benched him. Doug Peterson is the first guy in the NFL that said, "Nah, this guy's no good." He benches Carson Wentz, gets fired because of Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you fired him. Philadelphia doesn't have a better coach than Peterson now. That guy Sirianni's not better than Peterson.
He's all right.
No way. Doug Peterson's done a great job with Jacksonville. He'll find a way to keep them in the game.
All right. So will you make a pick on the KC game, or are you going to pass on it?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
You'll do the same thing, and you'll buy down the half a point. Yeah. All right. So that's it. So we got 3 there. I'm not going to have a senior 6-pack today because, I could try to do it, but I think I'm going to probably have 4 picks. And that's fine too. So now let's move on. This is the game. This is a good game. The late game is on Sunday is Dallas San Fran. So let's talk about that. Jeez, that's good.
Yeah, this game's great. This game, the San Fran's on an 11-game winning streak, and I guess their quarterback Purdy, has played 6 of them. He's won the last 6 games.
Unbelievable.
And Dallas is coming off an excellent game against Tampa, which Tampa's not any good, but they dominate Dallas. Like, they beat Dallas 19-3 in the first game of the year. They beat Dallas last year. Brady's undefeated.
7-0.
Brady was undefeated, 7-0. So even though Tampa's no good, the way Dallas won the game, the way they killed them, that was a big deal. And Dak Prescott played a great game. So I expect Dallas to come in and play a good game. They're going to play San Francisco better than they played last year. Last year, they seemed completely unprepared. Last year they had 14 penalties in that game. And it's funny because the first play of the game, they had that defensive end, Randy Gregory, lined up off sides. The first play of the game. Dallas kicks off, right? They kick out of the end zone or whatever. San Francisco got the ball on the 25-yard line. The guy goes to the line of scrimmage. He hikes it. A guy gets tackled, and they penalty lined up in a neutral zone, and that was the game. That's what Dallas did last year. They just committed penalties the whole game. That guy who lined up in the neutral zone, Randy Gregory, committed 4 penalties by himself. Like, he was awful. He was terrible. He committed a penalty in the last 3 minutes of the game. So Cowboys are going to play a much better game. But let's face it, San Francisco, they're really good. I mean, they're really good. They're well coached. Right, Shanahan's got the best offense. They got all those offensive weapons. They got Debo. They got the McCaffrey. They got Kittle. They're well coached, good players. And on defense, they have what looks like the best defense in the NFL. Especially their front 7, really good. San Francisco is really good, and they're well coached. So, I mean, I don't know. How are you leaning? Which way are you leaning?
I think San Francisco is really good. They got a lot of weapons on offense. Their defense is really good. Purdy's stepped in and done unbelievable. The Cowboys played really good last week. Tampa's maybe, obviously not as good as San Fran.
Yeah, they're not a good team.
Tampa usually has their number, like you said. If Prescott plays as well or even close to that, I think the difference is going to be Dallas's defense against San Fran's offense. If they can get pressure on Purdy, then we're going to see what this Purdy guy's about, this Mr. Irrelevant. Today, too, I was seeing these things. These people come up with all these things. Some gym teacher that used to, coach him in high school or something, Purdy used to call him, what was it? It's Brock Purdy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Big Cock Brock. I read that today. I'm like, what it was in print. Big Cock Brock. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Someone had a shirt, Big Cock Brock. I'm like, what are we talking about? Yeah, so we're going to see, not about his cock size, we're going to see how he can move around, because I think Dan Quinn is a genius. I like Dan Quinn. I like the coach. I like the defensive coach.
He's good.
I like him.
Good. Shanahan's good. So them two going head to head, that's good. I love that matchup. There's a couple things. First of all, Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant. You called him Mr. Irrelevant. And for the people that don't know, when you're the last pick of the NFL draft, the last pick, they call you Mr. Irrelevant, and they give you like a weekend at Disney World or Disneyland or something. They send
a jersey with the number on it.
And, I got to tell you, I wouldn't want to be Mr. Irrelevant. I don't like that name. And the irony is, if he's Mr. Irrelevant, he gets drafted in the NFL, like, how irrelevant are you and I? Like, how irrelevant is everyone else? Like, he's Mr. Irrelevant? How is a guy that gets drafted in the NFL Mr. Irrelevant? What the rest of us?
That's a really good point. What's the rest of us? Yeah.
Come on. I don't even like calling anyone that. I mean, geez, if he's Mr. Irrelevant, I'm Mr. like invisible. I'm Mr. Nothing.
And obviously he showed you, like, getting picked, the last pick, he shows you the talent he's got. The guy's got talent.
Well, he has some talent. I don't he hasn't shown a ton of talent. He's certainly been good, and he's been definitely, positive on that team. He's played well. The thing about him is it's not talent as much as experience. He was a 4-year starter at Iowa State.
Yep.
So he comes with a lot of playing experience. They played in the Big 12, so that's more of a passing league, a passing conference, right? You got to score to keep up with the Oklahomas and and Texas and all those TCU. I think is in the Big 12 too. You got to score to keep up with those teams.
Northwestern.
So, that's Big 10. That's the Big 10.
Oh, yeah, that's Big 10.
Yeah, but so I think the big thing with Purdy is he comes with experience, so he knows how to handle. Yeah. He knows how to handle games. Do
you think a lot of it is Shanahan and the players around him? He's got unbelievable players around him too.
I mean, the offense. I tweeted like earlier this week. I said Elvis. If Elvis Gerbach came back and played, he'd be running. He'd be 6-0 too. It's not really hard. I mean, he's dumping it off to McCaffrey. He's rolling out. He's hitting.
Yeah.
Debo. And the other thing is, Debo's a wide receiver and McCaffrey's a running back, but they switch them. They come up to the line of scrimmage and somehow Debo gets the ball and McCaffrey goes up and passes. They got some nice schemes, right? They seem to confuse people, or they seem to get their guys open more than everyone else.
They got a fullback that's a tight end.
He's excellent. Juszczyk. There's no way you know his name.
How you say his name? How you say it?
Kyle Juszczyk.
Is he Polish?
No, I think he's Czech or something like that.
Oh,
right?
really?
One of those Eastern Bloc. I don't know.
You check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Kyle Juszczyk, right?
Bring me the check. Bring me the check.
They got a good fullback. They got a great tight end, Kittle. Great tight end, right?
Yeah.
They got good wide receivers. So this team is really good. The only thing about San Francisco, I watched them play the Raiders with that Jared Stidham a few weeks ago, and he killed them. They scored 30 points, 34 points off them. He killed the Niners. The Niners defense wasn't that great that day. They played nothing. If you look at their schedule, they lost to the Bears, to Denver, to Atlanta. They played nobody.
I'm gonna bring something up about that. Keep talking, because I wanted to talk to you about this real quickly.
If the Cowboys play like they did against Tampa, if they play like a turnover-free football and low penalties, this game is going to be close in the fourth quarter. Last year's game, the Cowboys lost by 6 points. They played the worst game of the year. They lost by 6 points in that game. This game is going to be the same.
I think it's going to be tight. I think, like I said, Dallas's defense, the pressure I think Quinn's going to put on Purdy, we're going to see what he's got. I mean, he's going to know, he's going to put pressure. He's going to know he's going to have to. And I think that's going to be the key. Obviously, you know, San Fran's D will play well. San Fran's offense will probably play pretty good. Dallas's offense. But the key is that Dallas defense against them. But I agree with you about San Fran. Like, it's iffy. It's weird. Like, okay, they won 11 games straight. Big deal. Like, I look at the playoffs, all the teams in the playoffs, and I look at all the teams, every team, even my Minnesota Vikings that are out. Strength of schedule, San Fran, the lowest, 417. Strength of victories, San Fran, the lowest, 414.
Yeah.
Really low, really low.
And
they beat nobody.
Well, in addition to beating no one, when they played Arizona and the Rams the last games of the year, they were playing third-string quarterbacks. They beat Seattle 3 times. You know, they played. I
think they're a great team, but I think it's a little deceiving. The Dallas Cowboys, 507.
Yeah.
Strength of schedule, strength of victory, 485.
Yeah, they played a tough schedule. This Cowboys team is a little better than last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and McCarthy, like we make fun of McCarthy, you know, his game management is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
We make fun of him, but he's got this team ready. He had this team ready. If he has them ready to play, you know, coming Sunday, it's going to be a tight game. The other thing is the Cowboys are coming off a Monday night game. They got 5 days of rest. San Francisco's coming off a Saturday game. They got 7 days of rest. So that's a big difference. Everyone's talking about a big difference. Mike McCarthy's telling his team and the media, we don't care. Like, we're going to be ready. 5 days is enough. Like, that's the kind of thing you need from the coach. You can't have a coach complaining, oh, you know, I don't really think the schedule's fair. I don't really think that we should have played Monday night. He's saying we got enough time to get ready for this game. I
think this is the game of the week.
Yes.
Competitively.
Yes.
And I think it's a game that, like, it can go either way. Like, when I look at KC, me and you pick KC minus the points, we just get rid of the hook. Easy breezy. The Giants, Philly, it's really probably Philly going to win, but the Giants, they could upset them, but that one we're going to go over. But that game, again, it could be just a blowout. You get the Bills, Cincinnati. That's another one. The Bills could blow them out if Cincy can't move the ball at all because of offensive line deficiency. You know, that one I'm going to take the over too. I think you're taking the over in that one.
Yes, I'm taking the under in Philly though.
Yeah, under in Philly, and then KC, you're going to go with me with the KC. And just, again, all you people out there, get rid of the hook. And if you don't know what the hook is, it's a half a point. If Casey's minus 7.5, you buy it down to 7. You pay the extra. Maybe you got to pay $125 to win 100 or $130. You do that instead of paying $110 and taking minus 7.5. You don't do that. Now, this game is the game, though. It's like interesting. This game is an awesome game.
I'm taking the under in this game for sure. This game's an under.
46. It's 46.5.
And the other thing is, this game ends on Brett Maher's foot.
Money Maher.
Money Maher. It's, you know, he's going to.
Is it Maher? Or is it Maher?
Maher, like Maher. I don't know. Maher. Yeah. Brett Maher. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's Desarius Smith.
Yeah, I know. It's Zadarius. No, I corrected myself on that one.
Yeah. You got that one.
All right. So wait a minute. So where are you going? You all right?
I gotta fix something here. Like, I'm let me just fix something.
Did you fall down?
I gotta plug in. No, I'm good.
All right, so 46.5 is the total. You're going under.
I'm going under.
Yeah, it's probably a good play.
Yeah, I like under.
That to me is the under game of the day.
Yeah,
even over the Giants.
This game's gonna be 17-17. You know, 16 to 13. I really believe this game is gonna be a hard fought. It's gonna be these teams are gonna hammer each other. The Cowboys defense is good.
Yeah.
The Niners defense is excellent. Oh my God, this game's gonna be great.
So what about the line? Right now is Dallas +4. I'll take that.
Yeah, +4. I'll take the 4. I take Dallas in the under in this game.
Yeah, I would take that too. I'm going to take that 4.
Yeah, this game, I tell you, the Niners are a good team. I don't think they're as good as everyone says. And the other thing is, you know, I mean, their coach, they got a great coach. Kyle Shanahan's an excellent coach, right? but he is the guy that blew the Super Bowl 28-3 when he was offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, that's true.
28-3. He didn't run the ball once the whole fourth quarter. Like, he blew that Super Bowl. He was up 24-14 in his own Super Bowl against the Chiefs. He blew that lead. Kyle Shanahan has blown some leads. He gets all this credit for being a great coach, but when he gets on the biggest stage, he loses.
That's a really good point.
You know, so San Francisco's good, but I'm not just giving them anything. Like, you gotta show us.
Yeah, no, I agree. So let's I'm going to go with that too with you. I'm going to take Dallas plus the 4. I'm going to take the under and keep the 0.5 point on there because I'm taking the under. So to recap, bookie beatdown bets, Tommy T and Barry D. We're going to take the KC Chiefs minus. If it's 7.5, buy it down to 7. Tommy's going to take the under on the Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants. I'm going to take the over. That's the only place where we disagree. And then we're going to go in with the Bills, Cincy. We're going to take the over. We're not going to touch the line on that game. We're just going to let it be. I did say if you had a lot of money, you could take the Bills on the money line, but I think that game, just take the over. The weather's not going to be that bad, and just deal with that one there. And then San Fran Dallas, I think it's going to be close. If San Fran wins, they're going to win by 1, 2, or 3. I don't think they're going to win by 7 or 6.
Yep.
And if they're up by 10, Dallas can come in and sneak in with a touchdown and still lose by 3. And I agree with you on the under. That's almost like the lock.
I love the under in that game. Love it.
Is the under on that game. So even though we were trying to go short here, we recapped your senior health check. Thank God you got the hernia fixed. We went into the bookie beatdown and analyzed some of last week and then into this week and made our bets. The funny thing is we still talked for an hour.
Yeah, we can't help it, buddy. So long. We're so long-winded. It's terrible.
Man. All right, so that's it. So everyone have a great time this weekend watching the divisional matchups. Barry D and Tommy T, Old Men in Sweats. Remember to watch us, listen to us on all the podcast platforms and the video platforms, YouTube, et cetera. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, all that kind of great stuff. And remember this when you're watching the games this weekend and you're thinking of our faces, right? Just remember this and always remember about this. We will not try harder next time. So
don't even ask.
Don't even ask because we're not going to do any better. All right, Tommy, that was really good. You're going to go ice. Do you ice down that area?
Yeah, I got to go. I got the ice pack. I got to put the ice pack on it.
All right, and I wish our uncles the best at PTI.
All right.
I wish those guys the best. All right, Tommy T, good show. We'll talk this weekend during the games. Adios.
All right, man. I'll see you, buddy.
Yeah. That was a lot of information. There's a lot of talking, like we talk like crazy. It just happens. Like you just keep talking. It's like we can't do less than an hour, me and this guy. So I think it's going to be a great weekend of NFL football. And we'll see you next week. Old Men in Sweats.